express concerns over Adani's involvement in the country.
Many people would have expected us as government to borrow money and come and invest in this facility. That is not the right way to go about it, because we do not want to burden the people of Kenya with either additional taxes or additional loans, when the private sector can do it much more efficiently.
Ruto's defense of Adani follows the recent announcement by Energy Cabinet Secretary Opiyo Wandayi of a 95 billion Kenyan shillings deal between K24 and Adani Energy Solutions Limited. CS Wandayi echoed the president's sentiment, noting that such investments will expand Kenya's job market and attract more foreign investors into the country's growing energy sector.
This particular power plant by All Power 2022 is going to not only add additional power to the national grid, but is going to go a long way indeed, in terms of creating an opportunity for investors to come into our country. When investors come, ordinarily, of course, we shall have more opportunities for employment of our young people.
Meanwhile, Nakuru Governor Susan Kehika hailed the geothermal project, noting it will improve farming techniques and accelerate the region's progress towards achieving 100% green energy.
The county government of Nakuru is desirous to accelerate green industrial development within the county. It recognizes its rich endowment of arable land for production of food, animals, and forestry products, and has abundant renewable energy resources, including geothermal, wind, and solar, and recognizes the urgent need to prioritize creation of new and sustainable industry-based jobs to leverage on available resources like geothermal energy and untapped potential in agriculture and agribusiness, among other opportunities.
The 35 megawatts power plant will supply energy to areas including Nanyuki, Meru, Nyeri, and surrounding counties. Kenya is also expanding its geothermal operations in Olkaria, Eburu, and Baringo, where over 75 megawatts have already been proven and will soon be added to the national grid. Mombi Wambogo, K24 TV, Nakuru County.
Wonderful.
Prof. Ogola, yes. You know, 95 billion deal between Adani Energy Solutions and K24. President William Ruto seems to make it more of a grant, saying it will ease our debt burden. Is it so?
No, because first of all, as an expert in economics, whatever that is going to be forming what's called a balance sheet. So the Kenyan balance sheet is going to be added 95 billion shillings, but that is debt because Kenyans have to pay it. There are some things that the Kenyans need to be told even before this is done. You know, you're being told they are going to add more power to the grid, but have they told you what will the cost of power? Adani in Bangladesh made power double. Cost of power double per unit. So there have been areas where Adani has been told to do those power and the cost of power has gone up. If Kenyans are suffering more from the cost of power, what is the hurry of trying to do this and then increase cost of power? Secondly, if you go to places like where I come from, Mugenya, you go to places like Ugunja, you go to Siaya, the floor of where people live is cow dung. How will they benefit from that power? People have no jobs. How many jobs is Adani going to create? I hear those good speeches, but they should tell us how many jobs are going to create, average salary per person. When will we expect those jobs? Because when people, mostly Kenyans, have no jobs.
But contrary, President Ruto says this is a catalyst to development, where the reduction of the power will attract foreign investors, reduce the cost of production, and accelerate job creation, especially for the youth.
Joel, I'm very sorry to say this. Let me just go to what matters, because this could just be story by another day. The main problem with Adani is that the government is having a lot of trust deficit. So whatever he's saying, you go and ask people outside there, in a scale of 1 to 10, how much do they believe anything the president says? It is not my fault, it's not his fault. The point I'm trying to say, the public trust deficit has depreciated significantly. And I can take this time to advise the president. Can you just do one single thing right to recover this public trust? Go to housing. Yesterday, I saw people reporting that out of the 250,000 units per year, they have done 1,800. But money has been collected. Now, you ask yourself, what's going on? You tell me, your panelist here, alas, you're a very informed person. Tell me of any single thing the government has done with no question, like this was done and you can give a tick with your hands up. Also, tell me one single most brilliant decision, just one single brilliant decision, stroke of genius decision made by Kenya Kwanza government. Before we do those things, there are simple things we can do.
Yes.
Just sort up the CBC. Could you just sort out the issue of NHIF movement from NHIF to SHA? Just that transition. Joel, let me tell you, there are some things Kenyans have done. These things Kenyans can do and can amaze you. Do you remember when we did the currency devaluation where we changed the notes? Can you imagine notes are being changed tonight and tomorrow you go to ATM and the ATM should dispense a new note and acknowledge your card. And when you deposit the Kenya new 1,000 shillings into the machine, banks did it overnight throughout the country. Can you imagine just changing from NHIF to SHIF does not happen? Impeaching Gachagua is at within 4 hours, gazetted. Can we do things with that speed? So the public trust is a big issue. And I want to say that the problem again that we're having here with Adani has been given this legal contract by the president. You see they're being signed already, isn't it? Yeah, we are being told in the process of bidding. Parliament is being told it's at a proposal stage, yet they are signing a contract. So you can get a legal license, but you will not get the social license to operate. Now, if people in Nakuru go and bombard the geothermal project in Nakuru and make it impossible, how will Adani operate? Do you know you can have a legal license, but you don't have a social license? Just like you can marry a woman, and you have a death, you have a marriage certificate with you in your hands, but in your bed, she's thinking about another man. In the sitting room, she's not with you. Yes. She's even on her phone, the messages, sweetheart, and the rest is for somebody else. So we wanted Adani to have won the Kenyan heart, so that they are embraced. We have very many foreign companies in Kenya. Let us not put Kenya as if Kenyans hate foreign companies. Kenyans have welcomed very many. Even Safaricom is a foreign company. Yes. Airtel is a foreign company. You can name them until you try. Barclays Bank, Standard Chartered, they have thrived in this economy. We have never gone to the street and resisted them. The question is, why Adani? And then I'll also allow me just to explain something very interesting, because he exposed something about education here. And I think that there's something for us to know. According to economics, the more educated the human resource is, the more there should be development in the economy, because we believe that the people who are being educated are using their education to improve the economy. But that only happens, one, if we have people with values and virtues.
Not vices.
Yes. If you are using your education for the benefit of your country, or you use them against your country. Because if you educate a doctor to become a good doctor, but he has no values, he will use his medicine to steal drugs, to do operations which don't work, to charge clients things which are not even there. If you have a lawyer who has no moral values, he will go to court to present thieves, isn't it? Yes. He'll go to court to legislate on things that cannot help their country. And if you go to a country like Australia, Australia is one of the countries with the highest per capita in terms of education. Are you seeing people saying, everywhere you think, come study in Australia? Because they have doctors, they have professors there, they have teachers. Australia gets, in terms of foreign export, I actually call it, they export education, and they get $19.5 billion US in foreign export of education. For us here, instead, we have so many international schools coming from outside, are the ones taking our kids here. Then you take some to Australia, some go to US, some go to UK. University of Nairobi has never been the University of Nairobi that should be.
Yes.
We are lacking this. And when I used to be academic director in Strathmore, I used to ask students, why are you doing the MBA? Then some tell me, I want to get a degree. I tell them, no, I can give you the degree now. You want a certificate I can give you?
Yes.
Because you see people like Mandela, they never did an MBA, isn't it? Why are they well known? You see people like Wangari Maathai, they are Nobel Prize winners, and they don't have MBA.
Well,
how comes we have MBAs who have ruined the country, for example, the ones of Enron?
Yes.
But also we have good MBAs like Colin Powell, who have used their MBAs for the betterment of the country. So I'm urging Kenyans, as you educate anybody, please plant a seed of values in their soul, so that when they use their career, they use it for the benefit of their country.
Ayodi.
Yes.
You know, President William Ruto coming out to defend Adani, and earlier on, Allah spoke of President William Ruto being more of a wheeler dealer.
Yes.
Could it be because it will really help Kenyans, or because maybe there are some transactions that are hidden that we are not seeing? So by him coming out and defending the 95 billion Kenya shillings deal with the Adani Energy, already there is a percentage of him there, guaranteed there.
Yes.
Because Adani maybe has realized we are facing a backlash. And so you will sanitize us by just speaking on this. Similar to what Raila Odinga did, saying Adani is clean.
And that's so unfortunate. Oh, you see, what I want to say is that when it is forced, then it's not good. Let's take let's go back to Huduma number, things that were forced on us. Are they effective right now? We are not using them.
I did not get mine up to now.
Yes.
Even Hasla.
So when it's forced, it's not good. During the public participation to Oster Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, around 84 billion Kenya shillings was used for that. And this deal for Adani here needs 95 billion. So it means if we were able to get that 84 billion overnight, then it's possible that we can get this 95 billion to make our Kenya Power, to make all this energy sector to work. Now you see, I've seen from these people's daily that the president said that we are only tapping like 950 megawatts from our geothermal, leaving out a potential to tap 10,000. And that's why he was trying to defend the Adani deal over the deal. You see, when I check at my electricity token, initially they used to give us the charges we are paying for when you give, let's say, 1,000 shillings or 500. Right now they just say other charges. Initially we will see.
So it's not broken down?
Yeah, right now it's not broken down. So you see, initially you'd see you are paying for fuel energy, you are paying for forex charge, you are paying for VAT, EPRA. So literally the amount you are paying for all the cost of producing energy, and then you are still giving them profit. So that is to tell you that we are giving this company profits, but the problem we have there is corruption. That's why we give them enough money to make our energy sector work well, but the money will go to individuals, and then that's why we create a gap. And the president has seen an opportunity there, so he brings there in a foreign company that is forced on us, and we are wondering why we are rushing to have Adani when their credibility is questionable. We do not have any positive news whereby Adani developed this and it succeeded. There was a publication on Standard newspaper last week about Adani using our JKIA title deed to get a loan. But the president said Adani will give us 200 and something billion shillings. And then at the same time, we're using our own title to get the money. So if we are using our title, why can't we just do it on our own without putting Adani there? The same thing when the president tells us that
he's saying the private sector is efficient.
Yes, when he says efficient and we're still going to pay for this money.
Actually, the same Kenyans are working in the private institutions.
Yes.
The same Kenyans are still employed in the government. So I don't understand how the same Ayodi working for a private company would work efficiently compared to the same Ayodi working for the government. Yet it
does not make sense at all. There is something that maybe we do not know as Kenyans, because if I bring a cup of tea here and then I say, Joel, you must take this tea, you'll question what has Ayodi added to this tea that insists that I must take it. But when I say, Joel, there is tea here, if you like, you can take, if you don't like, it's fine, then you can go ahead and use the tea. So the moment we see the president saying that this will be a win-win situation, then we are going to go the Bangladesh way. Maybe right now when we are buying 100 units, maybe 5 units at 100 shillings or 200 shillings, then eventually we'll end up buying even at 300 shillings, like Prof has said here.
Alas, you know, 95 billion for a period of 30 years. I'm trying to imagine whether with our own budget, if we would have reduced the recurrent expenditure, we still have gotten this money rather than borrowing in kind.
You see, currently, if you look at how our constitution is structured, 85% of our budget, which is 3 trillion, remains with the national government. The 15% that is supposed to go to the counties have not received from this budget, from June, July, August, September, up to now. They have now received some small amount of money. Now, why is everything not working in this country? Or why is everything having challenges? We have policies being developed, we have processes, and then we have procedures. Now, in the policy, you have set a goal. That goal requires a process. That process must also have procedures of implementing. In policy development, we have 6 stages. Each requires certain parameters. Now, when you say we are going to shift from NHIF to SHIF or SHIFA, there should be a process in place. There should be procedures in place. Like now, look at CBC. We have 2 more years to do KCIC. 2025 and 2026, we're facing it out. Then CBC kicks in. Kenya's problem is rushing policies before the processes and procedures to make money. Still comes back to leadership government. Where every policy developed, the question is, how much am I going to get? Now, once you do how much am I going to get, it goes back to people either who have schooled or educated but not learned. Why? A learned human being will see, like Northern Kenya wants to have a road from Nairobi to Mandera. 60 years after independence, I traveled through Dusty Road. It takes us, for an off-road car, it takes us between 24 to 30 hours to go to Mandera. For the bus, you leave here at 1 p.m., you reach there at 12 p.m.
The next day?
The next day, 12 p.m. And the whole night, the bus does not stop. Now, why is Northern Kenya not developed? Because the people in the establishment from the secession paper 10 of 1963 saw that as a very useless land. Yet, we have livestock, we have wind, we have solar. People in Northeastern don't need electricity from the government. We only need to invest in solar energy and wind energy, even for our boreholes, even for our homes. There are people now, a cousin of mine is using solar in his home, but very expensive because it goes between 250,000 to 400. Now, there is a road that's supposed to be constructed. If you look at World Bank page from 2017, there are only reports. You'll be told insecurity. Why don't you involve the locals so that the project becomes, there is ownership of the local people? We don't have it. We have people from the bureaucracy of offices at World Bank, the government ministry of this, that, trying to only make money. When a person travels from Mandera to go, from Nairobi to Mandera, his per diem is 67,000. Okay? While the average income of a person in Mandera is 3,700. So you see the gap in terms of policy implementation. This country will only develop when the top leaders is not corrupt. We have 3 arms of government. You have seen senior counsel Ahmed Nasser calling Supreme Court judges jurispesa. This is a person who was the dean of school in Nairobi. He's a senior counsel. When he says that, then there is a problem. When you look at what's happening in our courts today, while a judge is told, your wife has been appointed by the president, we feel there is conflict of interest, he still insists to be in the bench. He will have said, look, if you feel that I'm not going to give you justice, fair hearing, I'm going to recuse myself. How many judges do we have in the High Court? So, but they stick because there is an influence from somewhere. Hii kitu lazima ipite. Do you think in Parliament, when Gachagua was impeached, there were people who were using their common sense? Look at Mutiso, the member of Parliament. That, I am sure, that petition was not his.
He was a proxy mover.
Yeah. He was a proxy mover. This shows, and I want to say the Gachagua thing. Gachagua's slaughter was started fattened from the day of inauguration. When he said what he was not supposed to say as a vice president. And what he forgot is that in Kenyan constitution, we don't have a co-president. We have a president only. So when you talk about, when you insult the former president, whose father was a president from the same region, that is one mistake. When you tell us our country is bankrupt, everything was stolen, and all we have is 90 million, that is another exposing state secret. When you tell us that we have borrowed billions of money in front of more than 10, 15 head of states, you know, United States ambassadors and all partners, development partners, you say that, you have showed that you are not politically mature. So, Gachagua being in parliament for 5 years, as we were discussing, he is used to power that he did not wield during Moi. He was a DO, he was a DC, he was this, he became a PFO, but he never learned. And I don't think Gachagua read the Machiavellian, the prince. So what I'm saying is this, this country will have this problem. And I told Eric at Spice 3 years ago, 15 years to come, we will discuss the same problems. When my son is 30 years old, with his father what his father discussed 40 years ago, my son is still going to be discussed the same thing, because at the top, already the poly implementation, we have a problem.
Already we shifted gears to the recusal of the judges.
Yeah, so
you know, Prof, I believe you followed the High Court session yesterday.
There's a question you asked which is essential. And as a governance expert, we usually ask, in whose interest should an entity be governed or run? So even on the Adani deal, the issue of the airport, the issue of Kentraco, in whose interest should those deals be done? So people have been thinking that it should be done on the behalf of shareholders, for example, K24. Should it be done on the interest of shareholders? Maybe not. Maybe the interest of the viewers. Maybe the interest of the employees. Joel, who wakes up at, I'm sure for you to run this news, you wake up at 3 a.m. thereabout. Sometimes it's raining, and sometimes it's very cold, and sometimes there's insecurity. Last time during Mandamono, you were shot. I don't know, it was a rubber bullet. So in whose interest should K24 should be done? Not the person who sits back and sends a check, but the person who sweats. So in JKIA, in whose interest should this be done? The JKIA workers, the airport workers went to the street and said, no, they are not happy. So if the president says a good deal, is it a good deal and the mention is just 95 billion? Or the mention should be, how will it affect the lives of the employees? How will it affect the lives of Kenyans who feel sovereign? And Joel, let me reveal something. When I was doing my studies in Barcelona, there's a day, they booked for me a flight to come to Nairobi using Heathrow, British Airways. So I was supposed to pass through Heathrow. When I was half an hour airborne, they checked my documents and found out that I don't have a transition visa from London to Nairobi. So they took me to Heathrow and told me they'll deport me back to Barcelona because I cannot pass through Heathrow. And the British colonized Kenya. I felt so mad. Then later, I was given a flight with Italian Air. So I landed in Rome. Then KQ used to land in Rome. When I saw KQ coming, approaching me, and I entered the plane, they told me, Mabibi na Mabwana. I felt like a king. I'm home. That feeling is so important that cannot be compared with 90 billion shillings. The feeling of having Kenyan company running these things cannot. And I want to give a comparison. You talked about the issue of them using our JKA title to get a loan is true. And let me say the following, that Kenya Airports Authority gives us around 18 billion shillings in profit every year. For 30 years, that is 640 billion. how are we taking 240 billion when we can make the money ourselves? Go to Kenya Power. If it's efficiently run,
Yes.
Kenya Power can bring that money from Kentraco and the rest.
Well,
they can actually bring that money without a problem. So
allow me to cut you short.
I just want to say that it's important for us to analyze these things. Now, you go to the issue of the judges.
Actually, allow me to take a breather at this juncture. When you come back, we'll be picking it up from there. On the recusal of the judges in the ongoing case involving the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagwa's impeachment matter, the ruling will be today at 1 p.m. We take a short commercial break. We'll be right back with that conversation. Stay tuned.